Hello everybody. If I look that way and get a little self-conscious, it might be because my sweetheart will be walking through. I kind of tried to lock him in his room and say, don't come out. I think I came up with some YouTube content. And then like 2 seconds later, he comes out of his room. His office. What have I been up to since the last time I've seen you all? A lot of stuff, a lot of sewing, a lot of crazy stuff, but it's been a while. And in the last video, I was talking about blowing up that pattern to make the caps. Well, here's one of the caps. It came out very cute. It's a little double ruffled cap. And you can put it on your head. This is a little tie straighten. This was made out of a fairly inexpensive bed sheet that isn't that cute, but you know, it was just a practice run, so I wanted to figure out how it would go. And then I made another one that out of some old silk pants. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cute. I think it's kind of cute. I don't know. I haven't worn it in public yet, but I might, because I wear scarves in my hair all the time. What difference would it make if I had a cap with some ruffles on it covering up my buns? Especially when my buns get a little crazy and start having all the little ends sticking up everywhere. What else? I've been doing, I have an Etsy store now for some of the masks that I made. So if you want to check out my Etsy store, I'll try to put a link in the description. I'm not sure if YouTube lets you put Etsy links in descriptions. We'll see, we'll find out. I've also been refashioning t-shirts because my nephew is a husky young man. His shoulders are, you know, the shoulders of an 8-year-old boy, but he's got the chest of a, well, my boyfriend wears a size medium shirt, and he's got, he's got a, he's 8, he's got the chest span of a 30-something-year-old man. I heard the screen door. That means I'm gonna get all self-conscious and weird. So walk fast! Walk fast. I wonder if they'll catch your clacking toe. Yeah. So, yeah, I've been doing some t-shirt refashioning. I made this one for my sweetheart out of one of his old shirts. And I made this one for my nephew out of one of his old shirts. A new shirt and another shirt that had some writing on the front that nobody really was interested in. It's been really fun. So what I've been doing is, you've got your favorite old t-shirt and you wear it all the time and you love the picture, but sometimes, the armpits get all gross from your deodorant and, sweat and all that stuff, or the neckline might get all stretched out. So I've just been cutting the decals out and then applying them to a different t-shirt. And that one is, so this one is actually just a Gildan from Michaels. They usually have, you can get 3 t-shirts for $10 kind of deal, which is pretty sweet because a lot of the primary colored shirts are 100% cotton. They've got some fluorescent colors, but those are like a 50-50 cotton poly blend, so they're not quite as nice as 100% cotton, but they are fluorescent. So fluorescent colors are great, and you kind of need the polyester, I think, in order to get that color to stay, because fluorescent colors are very difficult to maintain. Anyway, so yeah, this one is going to be going, I cut this one out of a shirt that my mother-in-law bought that she wound up not liking, but I'm going to be applying this to a pink dress that I'm making for my niece. And I've got another shirt for my nephew where I tried to make raglan sleeves. I altered the pattern for that shirt to make this shirt following some instructions that I found on the internet. And this one's close to being done. I got to put on a neckband and hem the sleeves and hem the bottom, and that one will be done. But what's kind of neat is since he fits in a men's medium shirt, kind of, it's just too baggy, like the sleeves are too big and it's too wide on the bottom. I've just been using the men's size medium shirts and then cutting them down to size to make the chest part. And then for the sleeves, I've been using other pieces of t-shirt because there isn't quite enough material left over in the first shirt in order to make a whole new front and sleeves. I mean, it could be done, but sometimes you'll wind up with shorter sleeves, and you know, depending on your body type, you may or may not want to have more or less of your arm showing. We live in Florida, so I think slightly longer is better than slightly shorter. And, you know, since he is a husky young boy, we want to make sure that, you know, we show off what we can show off now for an 8-year-old. Anyway, so yeah, another fun thing, the thing that really prompted me to make this video is because on YouTube, people seem to really love product reviews. So my niece was interested in learning how to sew some things together. She needs to work on the patience part and the realization that you got to do the same thing over and over and over, and you got to be really careful and blah 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 blah. Anyway, we're working on it. But my sister found this thing somewhere, and it was new in the box. It's a Shark Euro Pro miniature sewing machine. And, you know, miniature sewing machines are usually pretty garbage. Like, I've bought some and, like, they were secondhand, so who knows if they messed them up and whatever. But they never really seemed, I did not have a lot of faith in trying this machine out just because it's a mini. But it's a Shark product, and I have a Shark little vacuum cleaner thing that they don't actually make anymore, but I love it. And if I had a lot more money to buy a new one, I probably would. So if you really want me to have a new Shark vacuum cleaner, which I would dearly love, or actually maybe just more fabric, check out the Etsy link in the description below and buy some masks. That would be super sweet. I was thinking about putting some other things in there, but I haven't started working on it. So anyway, yeah, let's get into this. I already took all of the pertinent items out of the box. So here is the little machine. And it's very cute. It's very lightweight. It also comes with your owner's manual. Never misplace your owner's manual for your sewing machines, folks, because there's invaluable information in here. Because sometimes there's some troubleshooting tips in here. The instructions come in English, Spanish, and French, it appears. And it's a little bit difficult to figure out where you need to go, but sometimes just finding the picture for how, you got to know how to thread the machine. So they've got a whole thing here with teaching you how to thread the machine. The neat thing, they actually send this to you where it's already threaded and ready to already. It comes with a little piece of fabric stuck in it to show you that, look, it sews. So it's actually ready for it to go right out of the box. So you don't even necessarily need to read the instructions on how to thread it, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to read some of the instructions about, putting the bobbin thread in and, how to sew. There's a couple of things in here where they give you some general directions. And there's a little troubleshooting area in the back where if you're skipping stitches, changing the needle, possibilities to cause a poor stitch if your stitches don't look right. There's all sorts of reasons why your stitches might not look right, and usually every machine will have some list of things that could be causing problems with your stitches, and they're generally universal kind of guidelines. So even if you have a different machine, maybe you find this in a secondhand store and it doesn't have the instructions, look at another machine or another manual, any other manual online, and some of these things would probably actually help you. There's like 9 different things that could be wrong, and it could be one of those problems, it could be 2 of those problems, you never know. So it's good to have your instruction manual. I plan on looking at all of the different pieces that come with it. These are some little there's 2 extra bobbins with thread already on them. There is an attachment, because this machine, it does 1 stitch. It's a straight stitch. I don't think you can vary the length of the stitches, but they're a good serviceable size. This thing is very light. It also has batteries. You can run it on batteries so that if you're going someplace, like maybe you're going camping and for some reason you want to sew in the middle of the woods, you could bring this thing and this impossibly light pedal. This thing weighs like nothing. And you could sew in the woods with this tiny little machine, because it actually does work kind of well for what it is. So yeah, it comes with 2 extra bobbins, and there's some extra pieces that you need for when it's time to wind extra bobbins. You do not use actual thread spools on this machine like you would for a normal machine. So you're gonna have to learn how to wind the bobbin. I have not yet, because I'll figure it out. It's in the book. I want to show you how it's going. So yeah, this thing will, you know, when you need to wind another bobbin, you got to click the piece on, and this goes somewhere over here, I think, and you wind another bobbin, and that's how that, so there's that, and there's a little needle threader that you probably don't need, but it's always good to have. There's an extra needle, and yeah, there's the pedal, and then if you do want to plug it into power, there's a power cord. So yeah, it's already set up and ready to go. There's a little, let me plug it in, and I'll start showing you some of the other weird stuff that I found out about this machine. Where did the other plug go? There it is. So put the pedal down on my step. And this is where it starts getting a little weird. Because there is one button on top here where you can turn on a light. Awesome. So you can see what you're working on. There is no power button on this thing. When you plug it in, it's on. So be a little careful about what you're doing with it, I guess, because there is no on-off. It's plugged in or it's not. I'm not sure how that works when you're working on battery power. So if you're working on battery power, you may want to not bother having the light on. There's also, oh well, actually, you know what? There is an on-off switch here, but it's not the kind of on-off switch that you think would mean, oh, I'm going to turn the thing on, and then I'm going to step on the pedal, and it'll go, and then I'll take my foot off the pedal, and then it'll go. No, what this thing does, this is actually a foot-free button. So if you went camping in the woods and you had batteries in this machine, you actually could not bother bringing either of these wires with you, because this on-off switch, when you press on, it starts going. It starts sewing. So you got to be ready. You got to be like, all right, I'm just going to start sewing, press on, woo, and then when you're done, you're going to have to press off. So that's what that on-off switch does. This other one is speed. I have not pressed that button yet, because in my experience, unless you're sewing incredibly long stretches of straight seam, you are probably not going to want your machine to go very fast, because the faster you sew, the faster you can make a mistake. And a lot of times when you're sewing, there's all these pins, and there's curves, and there's things where you had to, like a sleeve, where you had to ease it in or stretch it out, and you had to stretch it while you're sewing, and you got to think about all these things that you got to do. So going fast, please don't think going fast is important or cool. It's not necessary. You'll actually get better results if you sew a little bit slower. So saying that, I have a couple little scraps here that I had cut out to prepare and show you that it sews. And let me tell you, here's the other big thing about this thing. It is noisy, super noisy. Oh my goodness, it makes so much noise compared to any other machine that I've ever used. But it is mechanical, so there's probably a lot of that going on. There's no computers in this thing, so that might be why it's noisy. But it's also just, you know, an inexpensive little mini machine. And when I say inexpensive, I looked up on the Google shopping to see how much this thing would cost if you wanted to get one, and it appears that they may only be available secondhand. There were a couple of things on eBay where they were like 50 bucks, and then there was a couple where they were 100 bucks. And honestly, folks, no, do not spend $100 on this machine. It's cute, but unless you really need to sew when you're camping, and you really want to bring this along with you, maybe that would be a good reason to pay a lot of money for one, because you desperately want it for a specific reason. But yeah, this is not going to replace your home sewing machine. It's, you know, it's not, I would not spend $50 for this, I don't think, because it's just kind of crazy. And for $50, you probably could find a secondhand machine that's going to be a lot better than this. And if you're willing to spend $100 on this, you better really want it because of the battery operated and hands and foot free sewing thing. Because for $100 you can buy a new basic machine from a store that would probably do a lot more things than this thing can do. So anyway, I'm still chatting when I should be sewing. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to turn on the light. And I'll just put my little scraps in there. Wonder clips. Have I talked about wonder clips? I don't know if I talked about them very much in the other videos because I was using more pins in those. Okay, so lift up, put your fabric under, foot down, grab your tails, and I'm going to use the foot pedal. All right. See how loud that thing is? But it's sewing. It's doing a good job. I'm going to put the foot pedal down and then I'm going to press that speed button and see what happens. Not bad. Hey, it didn't speed up that much, but it did speed up. Now I'm going to unplug the foot pedal because, whoop, that wasn't the foot pedal. This is the foot pedal. Because I didn't put batteries in it, because I'm too cheap, because I am not putting batteries in this thing. What was I gonna do? Oh! Pedal free sewing. So yeah, you don't need the pedal. You got the fabric in there, you press on. Whoa, and it keeps going! Yeah, so I should have pressed off there because now my fabric got a little misaligned. Okay, and I don't think this thing doesn't backstitch. I don't see any way to do a backstitch on it. This is where it also does not have an automatic needle razor. Like, I don't know, my machine, one of them anyway, the nice Kenmore that's actually a Janome, I think. It's a Janome with a Kenmore cover on it. And when I take my foot off the pedal, it automatically raises the needle, which is amazing. I love it. Some people don't like it. It depends on what kind of sewing you're doing. I personally like for it to be raised, and I can just put it back down if I want to. Most of the time I want to backstitch a little bit anyway to get to the angle so I can do that corner just right. But my brother machine doesn't raise either, and neither does this one. So in order to, it gets a little ticky here because it says you're only supposed to turn the dial in one direction. It at least has a nice arrow to tell you which way to advance the needle to get it into its highest position. And it just did a little click, so I think it's in its highest position. So I'm going to raise the foot and see if I can pull my project away. Yep, there it goes. Scissors. Okay. So yeah. I would say that that's a pretty serviceable stitch. It really is. For such a goofy little machine. And, you know, it works. Let me see if I can bring it up so you can see. Is it going to focus? There we go. So yeah. That's where I messed up because I started doing that speed and then I forgot to push the button to turn it off. But yeah, that's a pretty nice stitch, I think. So yeah, there's this cute little machine. My niece and her friend attempted to do some patchwork quilt square things I had already had a bunch of strips, like 2-inch long strips that I had cut out of some of the scraps from the masks because I was like, well, you know, I might turn it into something and, you know, the kids were here, so I was like, all right, let's do it. They're interested in the idea of doing a crazy quilt, but they are 9, going on 10. So they don't quite have the attention span yet. And maybe they're a little bit too addicted to instant gratification, because my niece, she got 5 strips sewn together. You know, they were 2 inches by 8 inches, and she got 5 of them sewn together fairly quickly. And so she was getting the hang of the machine. She learned how to thread it. We had to look at the picture, because if you don't tug on the threads when you're starting to sew on pretty much any machine, there's no, the stitches need tension before, when it's starting to seam, because it doesn't have anywhere to, you know, point of reference. And if you don't hold them, the machine will also likely pull the thread out of the eye of the needle, and then you're just constantly re-threading your machine, and that's frustrating. But yeah, my niece got 5 strips together, and then I told her, okay, great, now we're gonna have to do that 100 more times. And she kind of looked at me like, what? I think I just might say this is a doll blanket and be done with it. And I was like, yeah, I figured. But this thing is really cute, and they're both kind of obsessed with YouTube. So maybe if I show them this video on YouTube, that would get them excited to sew on it. But I don't think I'll be allowed to upload any of their videos, because, you know, children and privacy and parents and all that, because neither of them are mine. So, you know, we'll see about getting a disclaimer from the mothers. Anyway, yeah, so that's everything that I've kind of been doing lately, at least from the sewing front. I've been doing cooking and other sewing and making dresses and shirts and things for my sister, but I don't know. This, you know, let me know if there's anything you want to see. Scrunchies? I don't know. I just thought you guys might enjoy this, and I wanted to say hello. I hope you all are being oh, it didn't refocus? Oh dear, it didn't refocus. I'm sorry. Did you guys actually make it this far? Ah, you guys are the best. Take care. Stay safe.